privilege to stand before you all as the presiding official today. Lieutenant Schmelzer, thank you for gracing me with this opportunity. As I said numerous times before, these are my favorite events, when I get to promote our folks and watch them grow before our very own eyes to higher leadership roles. But of course, as we all know, rarely if at all, does a member accomplish so much on their own. We owe so much to our family members, both near and abroad, for their support and sacrifices so that we may accomplish our demanding mission. Thank you to Lindsey's husband, Phil, and their daughter, Quinn, for being such an integral part of our 792nd and Air Force families. A special welcome as well to Colonel Jenkins. We're so fortunate to have the best group commander, whom we know always has our airmen's interest at heart. And thank you to Chaplain Halting for delivering yet another inspiring and motivational invocation.
Amen.
Of course, none of these events happen by themselves, so we are very grateful to Sergeant Ryan for leading the behind-the-scenes planning and execution of this event. Now today, it's a bittersweet day for Lieutenant Schmelzer, because no longer will she be looked upon as a butterball, as she rises in rank, the first of many, I'm sure. But at the same time, the automatic get-out-of-jail-free card days are over. All things considered, though, with Lieutenant Schmelzer, I can only think of maybe 1 or 2 incidences a week where I had to refer to that card, so she's done pretty all right for herself. But in all seriousness, Lindsey has been nothing but an impressive junior officer since arriving here at the squadron and has truly demonstrated the potential to serve in a higher grade. Before we proceed with the pin on an oath, it's that time where I ask you to sit back and relax as we take a trip down memory lane. Albeit this will be a relatively brief trip since this is the LT's first true squadron. So what motivated then Lindsey Snyder to a life in the military? Well, Lindsey actually has a brother who also wears the Air Force blue. He's a pilot who flies the Paid Hawk helicopter, which conducts combat search and rescue operations. So back then, it was the brotherly influence that got her thinking about an Air Force career. With her growing up in Ohio, she stayed near home for college and attended Kent State University, where she joined the extended 4-year plus Air Force ROTC program as a cadet. During this time, she began honing her skills, eventually holding leadership positions such as cadet flight and squadron commander. She later was commissioned on 14 May 2010 with a degree in physical education and exercise physiology. So she was a natural fit to enter the comm career field. Now, at this point, you all know I usually like to dig up dirt or an interesting story on a promotee. But despite interrogation after interrogation, Lindsey stuck to her story that she was an absolute angel throughout college. Oh, if we only didn't have Facebook. I'll say no more. The good news, though, is that about 1 week after graduation and commissioning, Lindsey married Phil, who was also from her hometown and whom she had met during college. And all was well. As Lindsey was informed, they'd have time to relax on their honeymoons, and she wasn't scheduled to enter active duty until 1 October of 2010. So off they went on their honeymoon to Cancun. Nice. So out in Cancun, the Schmelzer's cell phone didn't work, and upon return to the United States at the airport, as Lindsey had time to charge up her phone, a little voicemail was waiting for her. The Air Force called and notified them that they would report to Keesler early within 2 weeks. Let me point out that this PCS hoopla is a foreshadowing of things to come. So Phil and Lindsey get to Keesler for what is actually only the 4th ever undergraduate cyber training class ever. This was that time frame when the comm career field was transitioning to the cyber operations officer career field. But for an exercise physiologist undergrad, Lindsey not only held her ground, but also stood out amongst her peers, graduating 2nd in her class after a grueling 7 months. She said the only thing that kept her and Phil sane were the Biloxi seafood buffets and Gulf Coast casino hopping. Don't laugh, all us comm folk know we've been there. And after graduation in February of 2011, they returned home to Ohio to stay with Lindsey's family. They had orders to report to their first true duty station, which was the comm squadron at Misawa Air Base in Japan in March 2011. Does anyone recall what happened on 11 March 2011 in Japan? Ah yes, the foreshadowing. So the massive earthquake happened, followed by a tsunami and nuclear crisis. Lindsey recalls her mom waking her up that morning as that was the same day they were supposed to fly out. Initially, they were given instructions to proceed to the Seattle airport, so they did, where they were then notified of the Air Force's stop movement order. With their dog and their belongings in their suitcases, they stayed in downtown Seattle for a couple days, and then about a week at McCord Air Force Base. but the trouble was worth it, as Lindsey then received a personal call from AFPC asking, "Where do you want to go?" Now, how often does AFPC actually ask you where you want to go?
Never.
So,
maybe once and guaranteed never again.
Bill catches on quickly and tells Lindsey, if they offer Hawaii, take it. Alas, Lindsey tells me AFPC said she did have a few options to choose from, and guess what the first option was? Yes, Hawaii.
Wow.
Lindsey tells me that after hearing option one, she pretty much zoned out the rest of the conversation. Interestingly enough, this all happened at the same time I was TDY'd at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base for a class. And as I was sitting in my billeting room studying like a good student, I got the call from AFPC saying they're sending a free officer our way. So who was I to say no? A few days later, the Schmelters arrived in Hawaii and joined the 792nd ISS. Thanks to the Hilton Hawaiian Village, young Quinn would join us 9 months later in December of 2011. As I said before, though, Lieutenant Schmelzer has absolutely started off on the right foot, learning as much as she could from day one. We assigned her as the OIC of the SCOS section, beehive of all customer interaction and system status reporting, which is not a place for the faint of heart. But she jumped in head first, quickly learning the nuances of interacting with the base comm squadron, our many demanding customers, and what it meant to support multiple distinguished visitors' comm needs. Again, she only needed to use that get-out-of-jail-free card a handful of times. With an amazing attitude, though, she kept asking for more. She even led the planning of our group's first ever Friends of Hickam Honorary Commander Assumption of Command ceremony. She volunteered to get her green belt in the art of AFSO 21, contributing to a rapid improvement event, and took on the feared role as unit lead for the AFNet migration. As a no-nonsense leader, I've also watched her cut through the BS and hold folks accountable to high standards, which can be a very intimidating role for a junior officer. We immediately knew we had a superstar on our team, so we recognized her as the Squadron CGO of the third quarter 2011, and later the Squadron CGO of the Year, the group's Info Dominant CGO of the Year, and the group's Air Force ISR Awards Program Outstanding ISR Contributor for 2011. Wow, what a first year and a half in the Air Force. In line with her demonstrated leadership potential, we recently selected her as the first mission system supervisor to establish new processes that will optimize our support to ISR operations in DGS-5, DMS Hawaii, or PACTACE NTI, IBSI. She leads by example, holding herself to the highest of standards while at the same time challenging her team to maintain excellence in all they do. And that is why she is more than deserving of this promotion to the next grade. I'm so darn proud of you, Lindsey, just as I'm sure your entire family is proud of you. So without further ado, Lieutenant Schmelzer, please join me on stage for the official promotion order. All right. Ready for this? Okay.
Major Rubiano will now promote Second Lieutenant Schmelzer. Attention to orders. The President of the United States, acting upon the recommendation of the Secretary of the Air Force, has placed special trust and confidence in the patriotism, integrity, and abilities of Second Lieutenant Lindsey P. Schmelzer. In view of these special qualities and her demonstrated potential to serve in the higher grade, Second Lieutenant Schmelzer is authorized to assume the permanent grade of First Lieutenant, United States Air Force, by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. First Lieutenant Schmelzer's husband, Phil, daughter Quinn, and Captain Anderson will now come forward to assist in the pinning of her new rank.
Yep, it's just recording it down. You ready?
Nice. I like that. Nice.
Woo!
That's the way it's done.
There you go.
Color in the lines.
Yeah.
No mustaches. Okay, maybe a little one.
Check that out.
Woo!
Yeah.
It's a video. Yeah, it was.
It has been tradition that our officers reaffirm their commitment to our nation by giving the commissioning oath re-administered. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand.
I state your name.
I, Lindsey Patricia Smelter,
Do solemnly swear
that
that I support and defend
I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
and I take this obligation freely
and that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the office
of the office
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
All right.
Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, First Lieutenant Lindsey Smelter.
Okay, I'm gonna keep this nice and short and sweet so we can all get to the K and chicken wings. But there's a few people that I just wanted to thank. First and foremost, Master Sergeant Ryan, thank you so much for putting this together. I really appreciate it. Master Sergeant Maui, thank you. You did an awesome job as the narrator. I really appreciate it. Chaplain Holtam, that was a great invocation. Everyone else who helped put everything out here together, this is awesome. It means so much to me. Colonel Jenkins and Colonel Robinson, thank you so much for making it out here. I really appreciate you coming out. Major Rubiano for presiding over the ceremony. It means so much to me. You've been such an amazing commander, and I've learned so much from you, so thank you. Captain Anderson and Master Sergeant Delosier, thank you so much for being such awesome bosses and being so patient with me at times. I know that can be tough. And Del and Quinn, thank you. You guys are awesome. And finally, all the members of the 692nd ISR group, ever since I landed here, I have felt so welcome. I've learned so much. I appreciate everything you guys do for me. When I came into the Air Force, I heard a quote that the Air Force is run on the backs of tech sergeants, but I truly believe that it's run on the backs of the enlisted corps. Nothing would happen without the enlisted corps. I appreciate everything you guys do. I'm blown away by your intelligence, your professionalism, and your dedication. So thank you so much. And I look forward to many more great years here in Hawaii and with the 792nd. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our ceremony. Please join me in congratulating First Lieutenant Schmelzer, followed by a reception in her honor. Please stand for the Air Force song and the departure of the official party.
Go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, soon to meet our thunder. And boys, give her the gun. Down we dive, spouting a flame from under. Off with one hell of a roar. We live in fame, we're down in dirt. Hey, nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force.
Bill, you want to join us up here? We'll start